Good morning, SML, and happy Friday. Welcome to the second episode of M&M in the morning. What's going on, Matt? How are you?
I'm good, man. NFL week one just started. Week one in the books makes me ready to start the SML, but we got to be patient with EA and the scouting update. But I'm ready.
Yes, sir. I am totally looking forward to it. So today we're going to be doing something a little different. SML still hasn't started, so not a whole lot to talk about unless we want to talk about chat drama, but I don't feel like we want to do that. So what we are going to do is we are going to draft SML fantasy teams. Standard fantasy format. One quarterback, two wide receivers, two running backs, a kicker, a tight end, and then instead of a team defense, we're going to do an individual defensive player, just one for each team. And the way we're doing this is Daddy Leagues actually has a fantasy point column under player stats, which I don't actually have pulled up right now, but let me pull it up. And Matt, I think, what did you say like 2 weeks ago that you were like done with fantasy?
Yep, real life. This is my last year of season-long fantasy. I will still do daily fantasy, but no season-long.
Okay, so for example, season 41, Charles McDowell of the Broncos, you go and you click on his player page and it says 2027, all his stats are listed, and then the points column, it says 299. And so that's how we're going to be determining it. We're not going to do, since it's just the two of us, we're not going to do a full like head-to-head every week and see who wins. We're going to do a full season head-to-head. We'll probably mid SML season, so January probably. We'll probably come back and we'll, at least in one segment, we'll do one where we can like drop a player, maybe got hurt or maybe hasn't done anything, didn't do what you expected, and then sign a free agent or make a trade if you wanted to. But as of now, the players that we draft now are our starters for the whole season. Matt, do you want the first pick or the second pick? And we'll do a snake draft.
This was your idea. Why don't you go first?
All right. I was hoping you would go first, but that's fine. All right, well, I'm just going to kick it off with, I guess I'll go running back at the first overall pick. Let me pull up my notes real fast because I did a little bit of scouting. I'm going to take Nick Chubb with the Browns. I think I think Bomber is going to be able to do pretty much whatever he wants, and Nick Chubb, man, there was a game in the Prelude where I think Nick Chubb had like 300 yards on like 15 carries. It was ridiculous. So I'm just hoping that Nick Chubb is one of those broken backs that's going to be really OP.
I like that pick. How worried are you about Kareem Hunt, or do you think he'll end up trading him?
I mean, I'm not really. I know Bomber's probably going to try to use him, at least in passing downs. But Nick Chubb's a bruiser, so it's like he's going to use him on the goal line. I'd be shocked if he was using Kareem Hunt on the goal line.
Yeah, and I know he's talked about keeping him because of the whole fatigue, the progressive fatigue thing, but I think it's going to get to a point where he realizes that Kareem Hunt's a really good running back and there's value in him, and I think he trades him.
Yeah, I mean, the fatigue thing's good. I think it's going to be really beneficial to have a good backup running back this year. I mean, Nick Chubb is like a top 3 running back in the game, probably, at least in Madden. So I just feel like Bomber's going to rock with him in the majority of situations. I'd probably expect it to be like a 70-30 split, and that's good enough for me at RB1.
Yeah, I like it. I'm going to go a little different. I'm going to go completely against everything I believe in fantasy football, which is never take a quarterback early. I'm actually going to take one right away, and I'm going to take Kyler Murray. I know that I did some studying too, and I thought, gosh, the consensus is if you go first and you take, or if you take Mahomes, I'll take Josh Allen, and if you take Josh Allen, I'll take Mahomes. But the more I thought about it, Prime's in a tough division with some good players that might play some good defense, and then Faz is kind of an obvious pick, but I think the what I like about Kyler and Dump especially, it's a weak division, obviously huge scramble potential. I think Kyler Murray and Dump's hands after what he did with Hurts he's going to be dynamite.
Yeah, and I mean, I know pretty firsthand. Murray's a great Madden quarterback. Dump is, I'm not gonna say he's a top tier quarterback, but he's like second tier at worst. And that wide receiver room is loaded. I know they have a rookie Rondale Moore now, which just adds even more speed on top of Andy Isabella. And then you got, D-Hop, and I don't know if AJ Green's going to do anything. I don't know if he'll even see play time in the SML, but he's there. And then you got Christian Kirk, the old reliable. I mean, he's still young. He can develop nicely.
Definitely.
All right, pick number 3. You're up.
I think I'm going to go. Nick Chubb was actually my pick. I think Bomber, after the Hendricks thing, he's going to figure it out. But I am going to go running back this time, and this time I'm going to stick in the NFC again, and I'm going to go with Dalvin Cook. I think Dom is one of the more underrated players in the SML. I know he made a Super Bowl, but somehow he doesn't even come to the front of my mind a lot of the time. But I think he's going to do really good things. The Vikings were high on my list when I was doing scrimmages, and Dalvin Cook was ridiculous. I know there's that rookie that's got like 94 speed there. I know Madison's pretty good, but Dalvin Cook's going to be the guy. I think he's in the right hands with Dom, especially if he starts Mond and he needs to establish the run or maybe throw some shorter passes in the flat. I like Dalvin Cook here.
Yeah, I really don't trust anybody else in that backfield. I know you said that rookie is there, but I mean, come on, it's Dalvin Cook. We saw what Foz did with him. Probably the best stock running back in the game, just in terms of production in Madden 21. So I think that's a good pick there at 3. He actually was 3rd on my board. So that said, just because I just told you that I had somebody else above him, I'm going to go ahead and take Christian McCaffrey at pick number 4. Listen, I'll be honest. I almost took the Panthers in the team draft, and CMC was like the main reason why. I played a couple games with him. He's got evasive, which is absurd when, COD is not great. He's going to be a monster. I know Woods is maybe not the best runner. He didn't do crazy things with that Browns team last year. But Christian McCaffrey, he's going to catch the ball quite a bit. He's going to get the ball on the ground, and, man, you get him in some open space, one man to beat, he's going to beat him every time. So I really like CMC.
Yeah, I love CMC in the game, too. I stopped playing with the Panthers really early once Dan kind of let the cat out of the bag that they were like, he said they should go top 10. I knew they weren't falling, so I just stopped playing with them. But I loved CMC. I like the way you said Woods might not be the best runner. It's hard not to be a good runner with CMC, but it's the passing game that's really going to excel. And like I just talked about with Mond, he's got Sam Darnold at least in season 1. Probably maybe not take a whole lot of chances with him. And plus, you can't play down against those receivers. Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore. Those guys can beat you over the top. So I see the defense is playing back a little bit and CMC catching a lot of those underneath passes.
Man, I'm telling you now, if you're gonna go be playing the Panthers, CMC's got to be your user, or he's got to be at least the guy that you're looking at to be read number 1 almost every play. I know Woods is not gonna play like that, but he's easily the most dangerous player on that team.
Absolutely. So you're up again.
Yeah. So pick number 5. So, okay, you took Kyler Murray number 2, sorry. That means I don't have to draft a quarterback. I can wait on quarterback since we're only drafting one quarterback each, and your quarterback's filled out. So I'll just tell you straight up. You said, if I took Mahomes, you're going to take Josh Allen. If I took Josh Allen, you're going to take Mahomes. I think we were thinking the same thing there because that's pretty much what I thought. But I'm going to wait to make that pick since that would be no point in making it right now. Since that's the case, I'm going to go with a wide receiver. And, man, I'm really, tied between 3 players here. But when in doubt, take speed. So I'm going to go Tyreek Hill. I really don't think there's much to say about this pick. I mean, Prime's got the best quarterback in the game. He's got the fastest wide receiver in the game. Even if Hill's not his number one target, he's still going to... I'd be shocked if it was less than 10 touchdowns and 1,000 yards.
Yeah, he's going to dominate with Hill. I mean, he did so well with DK. I know Hill is not the same stature as far as height goes, but he's faster. This game at this point, if it continues the way it is, the deep ball is going to be a huge threat, and who better to have than Tyreek Hill?
If Paris Campbell was a good player, IRL, he's just a tall Tyreek Hill. So we all saw what Prime did with Paris Campbell. He likes his speed. We saw what he did with DK. I know, like you said, different stature, but, I mean, come on. Tyreek is he's going to be a monster. So.
Yeah, and so since you kind of opened that was actually my next pick was Tyreek Hill for the obvious reason. But I had a backup plan because I also just knew Tyreek Hill was going to go early. And I'm going to take a wide receiver, and I'm going to take, for a very similar reason, just because of the hands that this player is in, and I'm going to take Stephon Diggs. I scrimmed Faz as his Bills on sim mode. He's going to be even harder to stop in the passing game this year if they don't fix the defense. And route runners are especially important. And Stephon Diggs somehow flies under the radar. I swear, when we talk about just bad players in general, you don't really hear Stephon Diggs thrown out there. But he's a beast. Faz is a beast. He's going to be a force.
Yeah, Diggs is... I think he has route technician or something like that, and that's one of those abilities this year that's going to be ridiculously overpowered. And even if he doesn't have route technician, he's still going to be a monster. Just playing against him against randoms or just an offline game, he just gets open. Like, it doesn't even matter. I know he's not the fastest guy in the world, but he's not slow, and he just gets open.
Absolutely, yeah, and like I say, just from playing Faz in one game and how efficient he was passing, I think that Diggs is going to do big things. And so that's going to lead me to being up again, and I'm a little caught off guard here because Tyreek Hill going kind of threw me a little bit out of loop, but I think I'm going to stick and go running back, and I actually like, and this is dangerous because I don't know what this person is going to do in that backfield. So just going to put this on record, this might be the riskiest pick of the draft. I am actually going to go Austin Eckler.
Okay.
I think Dan is going to stick with him. And obviously Dan is a Madden guru and an offensive mastermind. And I think Austin Eckler's ability in the passing game will prove to make him a beneficial pick.
That's definitely going to be a boom or bust pick. I mean, that's either a fantastic pick or it's one that you may be looking to drop mid-season. Yeah, I'd be honest, I didn't have him on my board. I didn't even think about it. I was thinking about a lot of Chargers, and Eckler didn't come up to me. I guess because I don't really... I know Dan turned some scrub named Calais into a pretty good running back, and now he starts off with a pretty good one, but I don't know. I don't feel like Dan is that run-first kind of guy that really would benefit a running back.
And it's tough because I looked at other teams that have really good running backs, and I just don't know how much I trust the user. No disrespect, but KJ being the Giants and Saquon, I don't really know what to expect there. Field being the Titans, I don't know what to expect from Derrick Henry. I really would love to have done Josh Jacobs because RD's a great runner. But is RD going to stick with Josh Jacobs being slower? I know slower backs aren't the end-all be-all in this Madden, but I see a split there. You probably will want a little lightning with that thunder. So I'm stretching, I'm reaching, but I'm going with Eckler here.
I think it's a fine pick. Tremendous upside at the very least. All right, number 8. I'm gonna go. Man, it's hard to. You know what? I'm gonna take my first shot at IDP. just because I like the number one guy on my board so much. I don't know how many points defensive players score, so this might be early for IDP. But I'm going to go with Isaiah Simmons on the Cardinals and dump. We've seen what he can do as a rookie. I had 20 picks with him one season, which I was not able to replicate any season after that. I think he's still listed as a safety in franchise, but as we've seen, there's formations where you can still user him at the mid-level, and I think really Dump's going to be a freaking monster with him because we saw what he did with Fred Warner last year, and Simmons is faster. Fred Warner's a better player out of the box, but Simmons is faster. Off the top of my head, I think he's taller, and that's going to be a big deal this Madden.
Yeah, I agree. He was, when it came to IDP, he was one of the very, very, very few, since we're only taking one, he was one of the very few players on my list. He's like, he's just the prototypical guy you want to user on defense. It's just plain and simple. And he's in good hands with Dump. And again, I'm going to go back to that division. He's going to have 6 games for the season against people he should beat and people that he could get some interceptions, some interceptions for touchdowns and get some points for you. So good pick there.
Yeah, I mean, he was probably already number one on my IDP board, but just that division alone, I mean, Figs could throw 12 interceptions in 2 games. Who knows? And I think the team as a whole, the Cardinals will come away with at least 12 interceptions in those 6 games. And I think Simmons is a big part of that. So I like the potential there. I don't know if it's going to be a great pick scoring wise, but that said, I'm going to go back to wide receiver here with my number 9 pick, and I'm going to take Justin Jefferson. And I think this is a good pick because he's a monster, first of all, and Dom made a lot of great passing plays last year with Russell Wilson and 85 throw power, so I don't think he's going to have an issue with Kirk Cousins. And then, you've got better wide receivers. Justin Jefferson is arguably already a better wide receiver than DJ Moore, so, I think it's a good pick.
Yeah, no, I mentioned the Vikings were at the top of my board, honestly, up until my pick. But Justin Jefferson is a freak. And that offense has a lot of weapons that you can't really focus in on him. I mean, it's going to be Thielen there. Irv Smith is going to be nice. Obviously, Dalvin Cook, we mentioned him. And if Dom starts Mond, you've got to worry about the rushing ability too. So, Jefferson was a fun receiver to use. He could do it all. And so that's a good pick. And Dom will make the most out of him, I'm sure.
Yeah, so that means you are up with pick number 10.
So pick number 10, let's see here. I think for me, I'm going to take my flex here. I know I mentioned that I took Austin Eckler because I just didn't really trust some of the elite running backs. But that said, I think that I am going to trust someone with an elite running back who I may have overlooked, and I'm going to take Ezekiel Elliott. I've played with Grams for many, many years in leagues. He's always been a top-notch player. I don't know what happened last cycle, but I think he bounces back in this cycle. I think the fact that you can pass will allow him to will open up the run game for probably everybody, but I think just that team, I think offensive line actually finally matters a little bit more than it used to. I don't think it's a huge deal, but it does matter, and he's got the best one in the game, so I'm going to take Zeke here.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with the offensive line point just on principle. I haven't actually done any research this Madden, but just on principle. Okay, so let's quickly recap the first 10 picks. Nick Chubb, number 1. Kyler Murray, number 2. Dalvin Cook, number 3. Christian McCaffrey, number 4. Tyreek Hill, number 5. At number 6, we had Stephon Diggs, followed by Austin Eckler at 7. Isaiah Simmons at 8, Justin Jefferson at 9, and then Zeke Elliott at 10 just now. You are full up on running backs, as you now have 3 on your roster to fill in that flex spot. You have 1 open spot at wide receiver. You still need a tight end, a kicker, and a defensive player. I still need a quarterback, a tight end, a flex, and a kicker.
All right. Well, I think at 11 I am up again. And I was kind of hoping you would make this decision easier for me because I think there are a couple of tight ends that really you can't go wrong with. But with that said, I am going to take the first tight end of the draft, and I am going to take Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick. I mean, you can't really go wrong with that one.
I mean, I think Prime ends up trading Hardman, and I think Travis Kelce becomes weapon number one. I'm going to say 1A. I'm not going to say number 2. Hill and Kelce are 1A, 1 and 1A, just because obviously they do completely different things. I think he's going to become the red zone guy because the Chiefs, to my knowledge, don't really have that big possession wide receiver. I could be wrong, but Travis Kelce is that guy, and I like that pick.
Okay, yeah, I was trying to wait on tight end as long as possible. You were about to force my hand because I'm not drafting a kicker right now. So Kelce was my second pick. So I'm going to take my first pick at tight end. And this is might raise a couple of eyebrows, but I want you to think about who this owner is when I take this player. I'm going to go out to the LA Rams and take Tyler Higby.
You're serious?
Oh yeah, I'm serious. I was like, oh, who's gonna abuse the tight end? And I'm like, oh, Colton. He loves tight ends. We saw what he did with a much worse tight end in Hayden Hurst, who I guess was not that bad, but I mean, Tyler Higby's better rated out of the box. And I mean, hey, it's gonna be the Cam Akers and Tyler Higby show, so why not?
Yeah, it's funny because I was thinking about that when it came to Cam Akers. I wasn't thinking Tyler Higby, although, I mean, your reasoning is on point. I mean, he's shown that he likes to throw to the running back and he likes to throw to the tight end, and really that's about it. And so I kind of factored that in of taking Cam Akers, but I just figured having to play dump, having to play that 49ers front seven, and the Seahawks, I don't really know how I feel about that one, but I just didn't feel strongly about Akers. But yeah, you can't knock the choice when it comes to the owner. I mean, Colt loves his tight ends, so who knows?
I'm not gonna lie, I had to Google who the tight end for the Rams was this morning. I didn't know, so I was like, I'm taking him regardless. So
well, yeah, because Gerald Everett is a Seahawk now, so yeah, I honestly would have had to do the same thing.
Gerald Everett probably would have been a great pick if he was still on the Rams because he's fast, but
yeah, he is.
I mean, hey, Higby's like, I want to say he's like 84 overall. Don't hold me to that. I actually probably can pull it up real fast. Tyler Higby is 82 overall. 6'6", 250. I mean, he's gonna be a monster over the middle, and the way that Colton likes to use those tight ends, he could go for 1,000 yards. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what the guy's rated. If he's starting a tight end, Colt's going to find him. It doesn't matter.
All right, so I guess that means I got to take my flex now. Down the last 3 picks. I'm going to, you know what? This is supposed to be an entertaining podcast. Let's make it entertaining. I'm going to go with another owner over the player. I'm going to go with another owner who is maybe known for spamming a certain position. And I'm gonna take Jamar Chase and the Bengals with Spooky as the owner. And here's why. Since I hear you being silent again, and I don't like it. Jamar Chase is the most interesting player on that Bengals team, maybe. And he might not be the highest rated wide receiver on that team right now. Hell, he might not even be the 3rd highest rated. but Spooky loves spamming wide receivers. He got a wide receiver in the Hall of Fame, not last cycle, but the cycle before when he was here, close to a full cycle, if not a full cycle. And I mean, he was throwing to him in levels of Quinston Yates or whoever that Raiders running back was 2 cycles ago. I mean, he was throwing to him a lot. So that's my boom or bust pick, is Jamar Chase there. Yeah, I know he's probably not going to be favored to win that division. He'll probably come in third, if not worse. But you know what? He's going to be looking at Jamar Chase like a good 50% of the time, I promise you.
Yeah, my silence wasn't similar to the Higby silence. This silence was just, I don't know Spooky. I don't know how he plays. I don't know anything about the guy as far as Madden goes. But I will say, again, the Bengals, like the Vikings, were a team that I played with a lot because I thought they could fall. I liked that the offense was in place already and young. Jamar Chase is fun. I think he's superstar. I don't know what his abilities are, if he is, but he's a nice player. And again, that's another team with a lot of weapons: Mixon, Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. So, and he's probably going to have to sling it a lot because that defense isn't good. That's why I didn't end up taking them. So, and if what you say is true, he likes spamming. Jamar Chase is the guy to spam on that team, period, when it comes to receivers. So, just have to hope that he's good enough to get him the ball. And if Rader could get Yates the ball as much as he did, I think anybody can.
I'm trying to see if I can't find the no, I can't find the stats, but his wide receiver on the 49ers was Clinton McLean. I think Clinton was his first name, and he's a SML Hall of Famer. He had ridiculous numbers. I mean, I don't have the stats in front of me, but they were ridiculous. And I think he only played like 3 or 4 seasons, and he had like 9,000 receiving yards or something. Something crazy. So, yeah, I mean, it's always smart to spam your young players. I mean, not that I'm endorsing spamming or anything, but if you're gonna spam anybody, you spam the young players. That's just Madden, because Tyler Boyd's not gonna be around forever. I'm blanking on the other wide receiver on that team.
T. Higgins.
Yeah, T. Higgins will last the cycle, but Tyler Boyd probably won't. Joe Mixon probably will, but I mean, hey, Jamar Chase could be a monster. I mean, he was a top 5 NFL pick for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved using him. He was fun. Again, another guy that, you build him up, he'll be able to do everything.
All right, that puts you back on the clock at pick number 14. You need a wide receiver, a kicker, and an IDP.
All right. Well, you kind of made me change my pick here. My pick was going to be Keenan Allen, but I'm gonna switch gears a little bit. I don't want to put all my chips on one team, and I've already got Austin Eckler on Dan's team. So I'm gonna go back to the NFC, and I'm going to see if lightning will strike this player twice, and I'm going to take Terry McLaurin. I'm a little worried about the QB situation in Washington, but I think NYT is a really good owner. I think Terry McLaurin is a really good player, and he can take the top off a defense. And I think in that division, NYT might have his way. And so I like what Terry McLaurin and NYT, I like that duo. I know he didn't really do much with Hollywood Brown and ended up trading him, but I think Terry McLaurin is better.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good wide receiver in real life. I know people have said, oh, he's going to take it next level this season. Well, that remains to be seen. He's a good wide receiver in real life, arguably a top 5 wide receiver in Madden. So for some reason, I don't know. He just, he catches everything and just outruns everybody. Despite not being the fastest guy in the game. So that's a great pick. He was on my board. I considered him at flex.
Yeah, I think NYT will do good things with that team, and that's an exciting, fun team. He should have total interest in every game just because of how fun they are. And so with the next pick, I am going to take my IDP, and really there were very few IDPs on my board anyway, and with you taking one of them in Simmons, I am going to go go back to Mr. Faz, and I am going to take Tremaine Edmonds. This guy is a user like Simmons. He's a user's dream. I'm a little bit worried because I have seen Fazzy played a couple of tournament games for the primer tournament today, and I saw him on the safety a little bit more than usual. But I think he settles in big moments, and for the majority of the time with Tremaine Edwards and Faz will get things done.
I don't think it's a bad pick. I probably didn't have him on my board. I maybe should have. But I think really the only user that I love is Isaiah Simmons, and that's why I took him. I think just in terms of users, it's hard to be like really loving anybody this year with the way the defense is right now. Even like a guy like Devin White, he's got Paulie, which, you know, he's a good player, but he's not a great user. I mean, he had Jerome Baker, who's a pretty good user himself. We didn't really hear much out of Jerome Baker last cycle, so I don't know how I would feel about Devin White. If it were me, I would have. The other two players I had on my IDP board were both Rams. They were Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, because they're both monsters. They're both 99s. And I probably would have taken Jalen Ramsey. But Tremaine Edmonds is a very high potential pick, especially if defense becomes easier to play.
Yeah, I just have to hope that Faz actually uses him, because if he doesn't, it kind of devalues the pick, and I'll be looking to unload him. So we'll have to see how that turns out.
Well, listen, even if he doesn't, I mean, Tremaine Edmonds is fast and he's tall, and that's a good recipe this cycle. He flies around the field at middle linebacker, makes a ton of tackles. I don't know what tackles do in terms of points. So even if he's not getting a ton of interceptions, I mean, he's going to knock passes down. He's going to make tackles, and he's going to be a good player. I don't know about a good fantasy player, though. But that's why he was pick 15. All right, so now I get to make my boring picks. I have a kicker and a quarterback. I get back-to-back picks, so it doesn't matter the order in which I take them. So I'm going to take Mahomes for my quarterback, and I had Josh Allen as the other quarterback. I kind of alluded to that earlier. But I was intent on waiting for you to take your quarterback first, because I was like, I love both of these guys. I don't care who goes first. I'm going to take the second of the other one. And you ended up taking Murray, who was not on my board at all. Mahomes, best quarterback in the game, prime, throws for near 4,000 yards every season. He's going to throw for over 4,000. He might push for a record with Mahomes this season alone. So I think it's a surefire thing, a surefire pick.
Yep. I mean, you can't. That's the consensus. If we pulled everybody in the league, I'm sure that would be the first QB taken, as far as a majority goes. And again, I only took Kyler, not because I don't trust Prime or any of that. I just strictly a competition reason. He's going to face RD and Dan 4 times. I think those are obviously good players that could play good defense against him. And while Fins isn't to the level as far as a player as RD and Dan, that Denver Broncos defense is silly. And one of their two biggest strengths are their secondary and their pass rush. So maybe Fins gets lucky and can hold Prime down, but obviously any games outside of the division, he's probably going to just rack up a bunch of points anyway. So yeah, can't knock Mahomes, can't knock Prime, and can't knock that Chiefs team, which should be explosive.
Well, it's hard. I mean, like even if Prime doesn't light it up passing right off the bat, I don't love Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't love that offensive line, if that does really matter this year. So, you know, I don't think Prime's going to be running it as much as he has in the past. And I don't blame him, because, I mean, this passing game's absolutely loaded.
Yeah, and, you know, Prime, he hates kicking field goals, even though he's got internet. He hates it. If the rules allow him to go for it, the guy pretty much goes for it. So, that, you know, where most guys might kick a field goal, Prime's going to try and get you yards, which could turn into a touchdown. And so that's another aspect that benefits you.
And with that said, speaking of passing up on field goals. I'm not going to take Harrison Butker, who I had number 2 on my board. I'm going to take Justin Tucker, best kicker ever, best kicker in the game. Don't love the prospects of the Ravens offense in Madden with October. Don't know if he's going to put up a ton of points. I'm just hoping that he has to settle for field goals.
Yeah, honestly, he's got a quarterback that has 96 speed. The meta right now is running quarterbacks. And 96 speed. He's one of the fastest players in the game, let alone the fastest quarterback. And I think the fact that you're a little bit concerned about maybe his offensive efficiency, I think that's probably going to play into your hands, because while he may not be an offensive juggernaut, he's probably going to stall a lot of drives and have to kick the ball, which Justin Tucker can do at any point on the field, pretty much, realistically. So that was actually the number 1 kicker on my board too.
Yeah, I mean, he could definitely nail one from 60. And with the crazy wind that we've seen so far early in this game, I mean, hell, I wouldn't be shocked to see him hit a 65-yarder. I don't know what the SML record is for longest field goal. I think it's like 63. But we could see that record broken this year.
Absolutely. Well, that leaves me with Mr. Irrelevant. And it's going to be really the only other kicker on my board once you took Tucker, and that's going to be Tyler Bass. And I'm taking him for the exact. I just think that for the exact opposite reason. I think the Bills and Faz are going to be so efficient on offense that I'm going to get a ton of extra points. I'm certainly going to get some field goals in there, but I also think I'm going to run into a lot of blowouts where Faz is forced to kick field goals. And so, and Tyler Bass is actually a decent kicker, so I'm going to I'm going to put it all on Faz here and just take Tyler Bass, even though there are better kickers. There are better kickers out there. I'm going with Bass.
I don't know if I didn't think about blowouts and stuff like that. I don't know if kicker is gonna make or break the matchups for us this season, but I was like, you know what? Let me go get my boy Tucker. Bass, I think, is a fantastic pick. If I had thought about him, he probably would have been my pick. I don't think kicker ratings matter as much as we pretend that they do, because it all just comes down to timing and sometimes lag. So,
yeah, and I show him as having 97 kick power, and that's the only thing that matters. So, Faz should be able to kick that ball from anywhere. And again, I'm counting on some blowouts by him where he's forced to kick.
I do expect Faz to score more touchdowns than October with the Ravens. So maybe he has to settle for that 1 point instead of that 3 or that 4 if it's a long field goal. So that's where I'm kind of hoping to make up for those points, because you're definitely going to get more points in the extra point category.
Well, and defense is tough this year. We all know that. Whether you think the game zones are broken or you just think they need a little tweaking, whatever you think, defense is hard to play this year. I think everybody would agree with that. So even if you're not a great offensive player, you're probably going to move the ball. So I don't think Justin Tucker is a bad pick at all.
Okay, so we're hovering around 38 minutes now. I did not expect this to go that long, but hey, I mean, this is that's what the podcast is going to be. We're not really setting time limits for anything, so it is what it is. If we go long, we go long. If it's a 15-minute episode, it's 15 minutes. So I think we're going to cut it short. Well, not short, I guess pretty long, like I just said. But we're going to cut it here. Thanks for watching, guys. Matt, do you have anything left to add?
No, that was fun. A super original idea meets. This was all you, and I think it's a fantastic idea. It should be a lot of fun, and who knows, it may evolve into something bigger. And if it doesn't, that's okay, but I'm excited at the possibility. We have to do something to fill this time, but hopefully, whether it's the next show or maybe the one after, we've got SML to talk about. Some games being played, or at least the league starting. I'm ready.
Shout out to EA and Swami. Sorry for bombarding you with... Well, I'm sure you get them enough anyway, but our tweet...
If it's not us, it's everyone else, so I don't think it matters.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll catch you back here next Friday for the next episode of M&M in the Morning.